How good to know we're getting more and more like communist China. It's been a long time coming. I mean, it's been showing all the signs of getting there. But if you've ever seen a prayer, an utterly perverted prayer within a so-called church, have you ever thought, how in the world does that church survive? Because when your church looks exactly like the world, why would anyone go to your church? This might be the single most cursed version of the Lord's Prayer ever, and that's how our friends at protestia.com labeled it. It comes from St. Paul's Anglican Church, which I'm using the italicized and quote version of church, in Essex, Ontario. It is, in fact, a perversion of the Lord's Prayer.
Our Mother and our Father, our beloved parent, in whom we move and breathe and have our being.
The glorious hallowing of your name shines forth in the diversity of your children.
May your peace and love, justice and equality, inclusion and belonging reign here on earth as in heaven.
Build your kingdom in the hearts of all.
Help us meet our daily needs.
Be with those who suffer as a result of living as the fullest truth of your divine child.
Let's stop there. As living as the fullest truth of your divine child. When Jesus was going to the cross, Jesus knelt and prayed. Well, before he went to the cross, it was in the garden. And he was praying and he was sweating blood, and that's a real thing, biologically happens to people. And he was saying to his Father, please take this cup from me. Please don't make me drink this. And yet your will be done, not mine. Perfect submission. And what he was about to do was consume all of the stored up wrath for all sin on earth that had happened since the flood and that would ever happen. All of it, yours and mine, all in one cup, all being poured onto Jesus or into him, if you prefer to think of it as drinking it. And yet he submitted. What that man just said about living out the fullest truth as their beloved child is to do the opposite. God created us in his image. Male and female, he created us. When you refuse to admit that you are a man or a woman, you're refusing to submit. And all you have to do is submit to a blatant biological fact. You are a man or a woman. And yes, I will talk about intersex because it's so rare, but the people who merchandise the lies of transgenderism, they really want to confuse people, and they harm people. It hurts me that they harm people this way. Intersex is hard. I don't know how to deal with it. I really don't. God be with people who do have to do this. But God did not give us permission to rebel in this way, to rebel for our sexual wants. I mean, you can do that. You can choose your sin, adultery, fornication. You can choose same-sex activity. You can choose your sin, but you can't choose your accountability. God will choose that for you. And this so-called version of the Lord's Prayer continues.
That our transgender loved ones might have their daily needs met.
That they might find employment without discrimination.
That they may have access to medical care without fear.
Okay, no one who is confused about their gender is being denied medical care. There are now, praise God, a denial of experimental treatments that I contend aren't treatments at all. They've now been shown to be wildly ineffective and painful. Yes, children are being denied that, but not adults. So that's a sampling of this prayer. And it comes out of a so-called church. How does this church survive? Now, it comes from Canada, but we have the same thing going on in the United States. Well, it might be that you are paying for the perversion of the gospel, that you are paying for this unhealthy version of the gospel. Sometimes people end up paying for unhealthy things and they don't even know it. There is something that a lot of people consider to be sort of a miracle cure for when you're sore and your joints are sore, your legs feel swollen, and it's ibuprofen. And I was in that same camp. I mean, I used to say, to people I know, hey, listen, you're going to want to take some ibuprofen after that workout, or you're going to want to take some ibuprofen after that hike. And I would actually take it with me. Like before a long run, particularly if it's a vested run, so I'm wearing a weight around my body, I would eat ibuprofen and I would eat it afterwards. And I did not understand what I was actually doing to myself, and this is how pharma is so, so clever. Yep, it masked the pain. I didn't feel inflamed, and I forgot about it. I didn't know that my stomach lining was being destroyed by all this ibuprofen. that when your stomach lining is destroyed, there are particles that should never be in your bloodstream that can cause inflammation. So now I take native path krill, which comes from 73 miles off the Antarctic coast. There are researchers who look at this and consider it to be an Antarctic superfood. It has a ton of omega-3 fatty acids in forms that are hard to get. It comes from these small shrimp-like crustaceans, and they're found in the cleanest waters in the world. This helps maintain joint health. It helps abate joint pain and swelling, foot swelling. It helps with mental clarity, and it boosts metabolism. Unlike ibuprofen, it doesn't harm. I'm not aware of any harmful qualities of it. So boost your own health with native path krill oil. GetKrill.com is where to go. It's getkrill.com/Todd. Visit getkrill.com/Todd today to see what specials await you. It's getkrill.com/Todd. The data from Elon Musk's efforts with Doge are showing that you are paying for a whole bunch of heretical churches. Senator Mike Lee pointed to a report where you are sending sometimes millions of dollars, $2 million to churches that are often connected to the immigration swindle, flooding our country with illegal immigrants. And it's millions and millions of dollars to support heretical churches. There are also brick and mortar churches, and this comes from our friends at Woke Preacher Clips. There are a lot of churches that 100% of their revenue comes from government sources. And these are churches just like the one in Ontario teaching that cursed version of the Lord's Prayer. They're not churches. If 100% of your revenue comes from government, you are government. We know that USAID was exporting atheism to Nepal. We know that they were exporting the lies of transgenderism around the world. We know that they're exporting non-biblical views of marriage using your money. Now we know that they're actually funding the creation of non-Christian churches in our country. And there's one thing you should know, and the people who are doing this should know. The Bible is very clear about something. If you are a known false teacher and you are knowingly teaching falsehoods about the word of Jesus and you have a flock, you have a very, very special, very hot, very painful corner of hell waiting there for you, or you will spend eternity under the false teachers of all false teachers, an entity who will enjoy torturing you for the rest of forever because you are an eternal being. Stop this for your own soul, because the more souls you take with you, I think the more God will be on Judgment Day very, very swift with you. He may even have something special to say to you as he tells you to depart from him, evildoer. I don't think the last thing you want to hear from your Creator is a smart aleck remark or something like this. Enjoy forever.